Hey yogis, welcome to Limitless Yoga Studio Online. My name is Kelsey. This is Watson, and today we are actually working towards an inversion. So we're going to be going upside down towards the end of class. There'll be plenty of options if you don't want to do that. We're going to be working towards Pincha Mayurasana, so mainly focusing on stretching out the pecs, the hamstrings, and working on correct shoulder alignment. So for class today, you're going to need 2 blocks and then 2 tennis balls or 2 myofascial release balls. I have the myofascial release that's actually connected, which we're going to be using for a really nice shoulder spinal massage at the end. So have those 2 tennis balls ready, and then let's get going. You might also highly recommend access to a wall. We're going to be doing the very end of class next to the wall just so that we have that support there for our Pincha pose. So when you're ready, I'm going to grab both of my blocks, start out with them in the letter T position, which means I've got a block for a pillow going this way, kind of the opposite direction of my mat, and then a block going with the direction of my mat, creating the letter T with about 4 or 5 inches in between. We want one shoulder blade on either side of the first block and then head on the second block. I want to be very specific about the placement of that first block because if it gets too low down on the spine, it feels weird in the low back area. If it's too high up the spine, it feels weird in the neck. So we definitely want that happy medium, that perfect Goldilocks position. And then when you have it, option of knees bent or legs long, arms down to the sides. Closing down the eyes, we want to take just a few moments here to relax and broaden through this collarbone area. These pec muscles tend to get kind of tight and grumpy because we do tend to hunch over our technology all day, whether it's our phone or our computer. We kind of have that rounded shoulder position, which then tightens across this area, which we're definitely going to need to be open and broad in order to get into our Pincha pose. So once you're ready, take a few deep cycles of breath here, and I want you to imagine on each exhale, the shoulders getting a little heavier towards the floor. Relax the muscles of the face, dropping the jaw, dropping the tongue to allow that free flow of breath in and out the nose. And then if you ever feel like you want just a little bit more of a stretch across the pecs, you can take your arms up a little bit more towards shoulder height, kind of the letter T with the body. Or even bending the elbows, goalpost arms. What you want to be careful of, though, is to spend no energy here. We don't want to be hovering up off the floor. We want to just be draped across the block. So once you find your comfortable, happy medium, stretch, not a strain, we'll take just a few more cycles of breath. And this time, let's focus on breathing 360 degrees around the waistline, buddy. In this position, we have a little bit of space between the end of the block and the tailbone. I want you to breathe into that space. So basically, your rib cage is opening up like an umbrella, equal on all sides. Your back ribs are expanding just as much as your front ribs. Maybe eventually we work our way up to a 5-count inhale and a 5-count exhale. We want to take just a few more cycles of breath here, getting that nice big pec stretch. And then we're going to work to continue this kind of breathing throughout class, even though we're going to be moving and flowing and spending energy. All right, last big breath here. And then we're going to come into a full body stretch. Watson. So eager to be part of the show. All right, reach to the fingers, reach to the toes, lengthen it all out. And then we're going to draw the arms across the chest, make an X shape. And we're going to slowly rock right and left, allowing the edges of the shoulder blades to spill over the edges of the blocks. And then if you find something good, you can hang on to it. You can take the shoulders all the way down to the floor if you want, if that's the good range of motion for you. And then we got one more big cycle of breath here. And then we'll bring it back to center. All right, I'm going to slowly roll up off of these blocks. I'm going to get them off my mat and out of my way. All right, and then I'm going to take a full body stretch, reach to the fingers, reach to the toes, lengthen. And on the exhale, draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. We'll wiggle the toes. We'll roll up the ankles. And then we will rock right and left over the low back. Just give yourself a little bit of massage here. Get everything woken up, ready to go. And then we'll place the feet on the floor, hands down by the sides. We're going to press into the feet, lift the hips, lift the hands, roll the spine up 1 vertebrae at a time. Maybe tap those floors behind you and then bring it down, tucking the tailbone towards the heels. 2 more. Bring yourself up 1 vertebrae at a time so you're articulating that structure, and then bring it down and lengthen the tailbone towards the heels. We got 1 more. Roll up. Not worried about how high you're getting, just worried about feeling out the spine here, and then bring it back down. We're going to take our right leg up, take a couple kicks here, up and down. Get a few movements through that hamstring and that calf, and then when you're ready, we're going to hold it. Interlace the hands behind the thigh bone, press to the heel, flex the toes towards the shin. We want to keep our head, neck, and shoulders relaxed here. You're always welcome to move the hands a little further up towards the heel if that's going to give you the stretch that you'd like. Take 1 big breath. Now, keeping this hamstring stretch, I want you to start to flex the toes and then extend the ankles. So we're just kind of pushing our gas pedal here a few times, getting a little bit of a stretch on the top of that ankle. And then after this last move, I want you to point your foot, pause, curl your toes back. So you're doing a calf lift on the ceiling. Your calf should be very firm. Your quad should be very firm as you're pushing through the ball of the foot. Keep this shape. We're going to start to drive it up and down. So full range of motion through that hip. Maybe the heel touches the floor and then toes move towards the back of the room. Okay. So you can choose to stay right here, or I'm going to add in the core by reaching the hands up overhead and then reaching towards the end of my mat. Every time I see my foot coming at me, I'm going to meet it. So I want to keep the neck nice and neutral here so the chin doesn't get any closer to the chest. I got 2 more rounds. Last one here. And then bring yourself back down, hands by the sides. Okay, we're coming back to the bridges. This time, we're going to keep the hands down by the side. So as you press and lift, we're rolling up the spine and we're slowly bringing it back down. Now, you might choose to get a little bit higher with each round. That's fine. But just be aware that the tendency is to really squeeze the buns and compress the low back. So try to keep it out of the glutes. We want to use them, but not abuse them. Last one, lifting up, minding the low back, and then bring it all the way back down. Second side, left leg up, couple big kicks here, just warming everything up, making sure it's feeling okay. And then when you're ready, we're going to interlace and hold. Press to the heel, find that hamstring stretch. We're going to keep the head, neck, and shoulders relaxed here. We're still breathing in and out the nose. 1 more big breath. And then as you keep that hamstring stretch, you're going to begin to work the ankles. So we've got the pointiest of toes that we can get, think like a ballerina foot, and then we're really curling the toes back towards the shin, getting that ankle worked. Okay, we got 2 more. And then after this last one, I want you to go ahead and keep that pointy foot, but curl your toes back so you're really emphasizing the ball of the foot. It would be the first thing to touch the ceiling. My calf is now firm, my quad is now firm, my whole leg is ready to go. I'm going to start to move it up and down, continuing to push through the ball of the foot. This leg orientation is going to be really important for our peak pose, so we're practicing it now. We're here for 2 more rounds, and then you can choose to just continue this leg movement, or if you'd like to add in the core, we're going to go ahead and keep that neck nice and neutral as we crunch the hands towards the front of the mat and the toes towards the back of the mat. We got 2 more. Last one. All right, feet on the floor. Bring the knees in, give yourself a big squeeze, and then we're going to rock and roll 2 or 3 times up and down the spine, just again, bringing that brain and body online together, feeling out the spine, and then we'll pop up to a seated position. Okay, once you're here, sit up nice and tall, relax the chin down to the chest. We're going to roll out the neck. So take your time getting out the pops and the creaks. We want at least 1 circle in each direction, but you're more than welcome to take a few if something's feeling good or something needs to be worked out. And once you're sure you have that full range of motion, we're going to go ahead and sit up nice and tall. Take the hands behind the back of the head. We're going to lean back as far as we possibly can, tilting the heart up towards the sky, and then draw the elbows down towards your mat. Bring it up, sit up nice and tall, tilt back, and then bring it down. As you broaden through the collarbones, you're squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then bring it down one last time. Okay, find a nice neutral spine. I'm going to drive 1 elbow up and across, so I get this big side body stretch, and then I'm going to do it on the opposite direction, up and across. Good. 1 more right, 1 more left. Feeling a little stretch between the ribs, giving us some more space to breathe into. Last one here. And bring it on back. All right, we're going to release the hands, roll it on over to hands and knees, however you need to get there. You're going to meet me in tabletop position with the shoulders on the wrists and the hips on the knees. With your gaze between the thumbs, take a few rounds of cat-cow, gently dropping the ribs and then pushing to arch and tuck the tailbone towards the nose. As we flow through the spine, I want you to make sure that you are just as worried about the length from nose to tail as you are worried about the height up and down. Okay, that might slow you down a little bit. That might decrease the range of motion a bit, but it's going to be the way to make sure that our spine is getting taken care of and each and every link in the chain is getting a little bit of attention. Last one up, last one down. And then bring it back to a nice neutral spine. Right toes are going to go back as a kickstand. Right hand's going to come up, sweep to the small of the back, and then actively roll the chest towards the ceiling so you've got this big pec stretch on the right. Okay, bring that down and switch it out. Left toes go out. Left hand inhale up. Exhale, spiral the ribs towards the ceiling. Bring it back down. Okay, right foot goes out. Inhale, right hand to the back of that tailbone area. And then exhale, bring it right back down. Inhale, left. Spiral the chest open and exhale down. Now adding on, if you'd like, inhale, right hand to the small of the back. Choose to stay there, or I'm going to slide my right foot back behind me further so I can roll open further. Bring it back down. Last one, left toes back. Inhale up. Maybe the toes slide back behind you to roll the chest open further. Okay, bring it all the way back down. We're going to lower down to the forearms, making sure that the elbows are right underneath the shoulders, and actively hug everything in like your arms are being magnetized towards one another. Once you have that, we're going for a walk. Right, left, right, left. Now, as you continue to hug the shoulders in, as you continue to walk back, we want to make sure that our butt isn't up too high up over our head. Okay? So as you walk, you really got to reach your legs as far back as you can to make sure that you're in this actual forearm plank. We got one more set, back and forth. All right, and then bring it back to hands and knees. All right, we're going to slide our hips over to the right. Take a moment, figure out any angles that feel best for you. And then one more to the left. Again, angles. Choose the best one. And back to center. All right, one more time back down on those forearms. Again, magnetize everything together as those elbows go right underneath the shoulders. Firm with the bellies, you step back and hold your forearm plank this time. We're going to rock tiptoes, heels, tiptoes, heels, feeling how that seesaw motion brings the effort up and down the core. Okay, last one. Okay, pressure through the heels, pause. Keep the belly that firm as you slow lower the pelvis, uncurl the toes. Now energetically pull your elbows towards your own body as you pull the heart away. Imagine kind of clawing your mat towards you. Keep the belly button lifted up towards the spine so the core stays involved and you're not just hanging out in your low back. We got Sphinx. Take one big breath here. On your exhale, you're going to take the elbows wide and land on the chest. Right elbow at 90 degrees. You're going to hover it. Slide it out away from the body before you plant it. As I roll over, I'm going to keep the right shoulder head hugged up into the socket so I don't have him smooshed down into the floor. Take a big breath here as I feel that strap of muscle across the right shoulder head, that pec muscle. And then I'll bring it all the way back to center. Left elbow, 90 degrees, hover. Slide it away from you so you stretch the muscle. And then as you lengthen out and roll, we're keeping the shoulder head supported up in the socket and not letting him getting scrunched down to the floor. Big breath here, maybe noticing a difference between the sides. And bring yourself back to center. All right, hands by the rib cage. We're going to pop up hands and knees. Immediately drop the butt to the heels. Lengthen it all the way, dropping the chest through the gateway of the arms. Take a breath. Okay, remembering that, we're going to bring it up to hands and knees. Take a moment to, again, hug the shoulders in towards one another. Step back into full plank. And then as I press back into my first down dog, I'm going to bend the knees so that I can, again, drop the chest through the gateway of the arms, kind of opening up and broadening that collarbone area. Take a breath. Okay, from here, I'll push the heels, beginning to walk one heel and then the other, pressing through the calves. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, you're going to look up, walk up. I'll see you at the top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold, chin to chest. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. All right, find those cactus arms, similar to the beginning of class. Can you lean over, kind of like the back of your chair, tilt the heart up, but try not to flare the belly forward, all right? We're just trying to work with this upper back here. Big inhale. Exhale, forward fold for our sun A's. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, right foot steps back. Pause long enough to drop down to that right hip flexor. Press to that right heel. Get yourself a little stretch right there between the quad and the core. And then with that right knee down, we're going to inhale, rise up, cactus arms, and again, lean back over the back of your chair without involving flaring the ribs and dumping into the low back. Once you have it, we're going to bring that same shape forward. Keep the broadness of the chest as you sweep the fingers back behind you. What we don't want to do is curl and round. Inhale, rise up, open the chest, lean over the back of your chair, and then bring it forward, pushing the heart forward, kind of like a Superman chest. One more. Inhale, rise up, firm belly through both of these poses, and sweep. All right, one more up to inhale, and then exhale, hands come down. Lift your back knee, slide it back into the plank, rock the tiptoes, lower to the belly, elbows in. All right, we got cobras. Glue your toenails to the floor. Cinch up the waistline here. Inhale, rise up, cobra. and exhale, lower. Now, similar to those glute bridges that we did, be careful because your buns are going to want to over squeeze to help you with this pose. Try to use them and not abuse them so you're not feeling any compression in the low back. After your 3 cobras, curl the toes, and I'll see you in plank. Press back into down dog. If you want to bend the knees and again, take that chest opener, you can. Then looking up, stepping up, top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. This time, take the hands behind your back, interlace, roll the shoulder heads back, broaden the chest again, but keep the palms sealed. We want to kind of flare the palms open, which can mess with the elbows. So let's keep them together, even if that means bent elbows. One more big inhale here. You're going to have this option in your cobras. One more set of sunnays. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold, hips stacked on top of heels. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, left foot steps back. Pause long enough to drop down to that hip flexor, right where the quad meets the core. Pressing through that back heel. We're here for 3, 2, and 1. Drop that back knee. Inhale, rise up with an option to hook the thumbs this time. That might increase the intensity, so it's just a choice. And then as you bring it forward and broaden the chest, you can choose to stay here or find that same interlace that we did standing. Inhale, rise up, option of thumbs. Exhale, bring it forward, broadening the chest, option of bind. Last one. Inhale, rise up, cactus or bind the thumbs. Exhale, hands behind you or in a bind. All right, this time, inhale, rise up, cactus arms. Exhale, hands come down. Lift your back knee, slide back into plank, rock the tiptoes, lower to the belly. Okay, you can take your 3 cobras exactly like last time, or you can find that same bind with your palms sealed. Inhale to cinch up the waistline. Exhale, drive your thumbs down the tailbone, broaden the chest as you open up towards cobra. Relax it back down. Drive the thumbs down the tailbone. Try not to use the glutes too much here. Let it go. Last one, big inhale, cinch up the waistline. Exhale, broaden into your bound cobra. Okay, release it, hands to the rib cage. Find your plank, find your down dog, lengthen it out. Looking forward, stepping forward, top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, fold chin to chest. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we're moving into sun bees, so we're going to need our blocks. Go ahead and scoop them on up. Take them to the top of the mat, plant them about shoulder distance apart. We won't need our tennis balls until the very end of class, so I'm going to scooch those guys out of the way. All right, here we go. So anytime we open up the chest and broaden this area, we do have a tendency to want to kind of lean into our low back, because if we can open our chest this much, if the low back gets involved, it makes us feel like we're opening up so much more. So just be aware that we're going to want to make sure the core is keeping us in check. The firmer the core, the less movement there is in the low back. So we want to find that happy medium. So we're utilizing the chest, but not dumping into the low back. All right, here we go. Top of the mat, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, hands up overhead. Exhale, sit down into your chair with cactus arms. Weight through the heels. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together and pulse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, your vinyasa, which could just be down dog, which is what I'm doing this first round. Feel free to join me. Pressure through the thumb and index. Make sure your shoulder blades are neutral. We don't want them shoved up in our ears. We don't want them locked down our back. We want them right there, happy 50-50. Right toes up in the sky, big breath. Okay, can you create that pointed foot that we talked about, and then curl the toes so you're doing a calf lift on the back wall, okay? We're going to go up and down 3 times. 3, lift, 2, and last one. We're going to kick this foot all the way through to the top of the mat and drop the back knee. Use your blocks if you need to straighten out that front leg and come into Ardha Hanuman, that half splits. Well, hello, Corgi. Imagine you getting involved now, right in the way. Take one more big breath, trying not to lock out that right knee. And then as you come forward, go ahead and get rid of any props. We're going to spin that back heel down and rise up into warrior 2. We're going to stack the shoulders right on top of the hips. So keep that firm belly so you're not dumping into the low back. Then find your bind, interlace, roll the shoulder heads back. Give me an inhale right up through the crown of the head. Exhale, side angle, dropping the right ribs towards the right thigh bone. Press into your heels, rise up and lengthen through the crown of the head. Keep the bind. Bring it down 2 more times. Side angle with the bind. Press the heels, warrior 2 with the bind. One more. Bring it down, lengthening through the crown of the head. And then bring it all the way up. Now go straight arms, straight legs. Reach forward and down, triangle pose. Hand is lightly on the shin, the ankle, or the pinky toe side of the foot. Lengthen through the crown of the head so you're not dumping into gravity here. Take a big breath. Top hand's going to go to the small of the back. Now use that to rotate that left shoulder back and find yourself in a big triangle half bind. One more breath here. All right, bend that knee, bring it down. We're going to walk to the middle of our mat. We got heels in, toes out. Rise up for your goddess. Stick the weight back in the heels, so make sure and hinge at the hips here, okay? Here's our flow. We're going to inhale, rise up, palms together, thumbs to the back of the neck. And then as you come back down to goddess, squeeze the shoulder blades together to keep that chest broad. Rise up, draw the elbows back without flaring the ribs, and then bring it all the way down. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Last one. Bring it up, thumbs to the back of the neck, and then squeeze the shoulder blades together. Hands to the floor. Walk yourself forward to the top of your mat or by the corgi. And then option 1 is down dog. Option 2 is side plank. Right hand up, right foot back. Okay, I'll see you in down dog, vinyasa or not. All right, well, this next round should be interesting. Okay, inhale, left toes up. Can you find that pointed foot? Curl the toes so the ball of the foot is leading the way here. Take it up and down 3 times, making sure the toes are pointed down. And after this last round, we're going to kick the foot all the way to the top of the mat. We're going to drop the back knee if necessary. We're going to grab the blocks if you like. Straighten out that front leg and find your Ardha Hanuman, your snap splits, your hamstring stretch. My foot is flexed. I have a tendency to lock out the knee, so I'm going to be very aware of keeping a little baby bend there. I'm going to draw my nose even further forward. And if I need extra, I can push my foot further forward. Take a big breath here. Watson, you couldn't be more in the way if you tried. All right, as I bring myself forward, kind of, sort of, there we go. I'm going to spin that back heel down, rise up and find your warrior 2, stacking the shoulders on the hips. Back heel a little bit further back than the toes, knee right through the middle of the foot. As I find my bind, my palms are going to stay sealed together. So maybe that means bent elbows here. Take an inhale. Exhale, find your side angle with the left ribs towards the left thigh bone. Bring it up, shoulder blades down the back, long spine, and do it 2 more times. Pressure remains through the heels. Keep that broad open chest here, kind of heart spiraling up towards the ceiling. And then after this 3rd and final round, we're going to straighten out the arms and the legs. Reach forward, extending the spine, and then bring it down. Weight is now to the ball of the foot, so micro bend that knee if necessary. Top hand goes to the small of the back, encouraging that roll of the chest towards the ceiling for that pec stretch on the right. Take a big breath here. All right, we're going to bend the knee, hands come down, walk to the middle of the mat. We're going to square off our feet this time so that all 10 toes are in the same direction. Take a forward fold with the hips stacked on top of the heels here. All right, relax the chin to the chest, no wrinkles in the back of the neck. And then be aware that sometimes we like to cave the ankles either outwards or spill them inwards. So let's even it out. Hey, buddy. How you doing? One more big breath for the hamstrings here. And then we're going to walk ourselves forward. Hey, bud. Okay, maybe it's down dog, maybe it's side plank. This is a new version of side plank, corgi side plank. Okay, I'm going to bring it down and I'll see you in down dog to lengthen. All right, looking forward, stepping or hopping to the top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Let's put the thumbs to the back of the neck. Keep the shoulder blades down the back. All right, as you sit down in your chair, firm belly. You might not get as low as a normal chair, and that's okay because of this arm position. Take a breath. Exhale, fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, your vinyasa. You might step back into down dog, which is what I think I'm going to have to do because of this dog. You might drop the knees and modify your chaturanga, elbows to ribs. You might be doing your full chaturanga and up dog. All right, here we go. Stick that right foot up in the sky. And again, can you create that ballerina pointy foot and then curl the toes so you're doing an active calf lift. Take a big breath here. And then exhale, we're going to sweep this foot all the way to the top of our mat. Now you might want to drop the back knee for this hamstring stretch, or I'm going to grab the blocks, keep that knee lifted as I straighten out my front leg. You are just chaos today, aren't you, buddy? Okay. Curling toes towards the shin. Do be careful of that locked out knee, which is the tendency. We got one more big breath here. All right, bending in that knee, get rid of the blocks. I'm going to spin the back heel down, come right into that warrior 2. Big inhale, nice tall spine. Exhale, find your bind. So we're going to be adding on here. Open up the chest. Take an inhale. Exhale, side angle. Pressure through the heels as the ribs go towards the right thigh bone. And as you press, we're thinking reverse warrior here. So lengthen the spine and then come back. It's probably not going to be as far as you might think. Okay, inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, side angle with the bind. Inhale, warrior 2, lengthen. Exhale, reverse warrior, continuing to think up rather than back. One more. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, reverse. Now we're coming into half moon, so if you want to lose the bind, you can. Lean forward, look forward. I'm going to slide my back foot in and lift. I'm going to continue to draw my thumbs down the tailbone, broadening the chest towards the ceiling. Now, if I don't like the bind, I can grab the block, reach to the fingers, and then try to keep 5 toes pointed forward. Try to scoop my right hip underneath me and keep that chest open. Okay, hands down, toes down. Walk to the middle of your mat. We're going heels in, toes out. Rise up. This time, find your goddess to hold. Right hand goes to the nape of the neck. Left hand goes to the tailbone area. You're going to inhale, open the chest. Exhale, switch the arms. Okay, so maybe the fingers get a little bit closer together, but the idea is to really roll those arm bones around in their socket and to broaden the chest. One more inhale, open. One more exhale, switch. All right, as the hands come down, I'm going to walk forward. Option 1 is down dog. Option 2 is going to be wild thing. So I'm going to take my side plank, right foot steps behind me, and then as I broaden the chest towards the ceiling, I'm going to keep that right shoulder blade down the back. Okay, bring it down, lengthen it out. Second side, and then we have a little break. Inhale, left toes up. Find that pointed foot, so it kind of looks like you have a Barbie doll foot. Okay, from here, take a big breath as you reach, and then go ahead and kick it all the way through. Maybe grabbing those blocks, maybe dropping that back knee. We're going to take your hamstring stretch. Okay, be aware of the tendency to lock out the joints, and then pulling the nose towards the toes to find the stretch that you would like. You can always drop the blocks to lower settings. Find what you need. One more big breath. All right. Bring yourself forward. Get rid of any blocks that you're using. Spin that back heel down. We're coming up into our very last set of warrior twos. Take a breath here. Making sure that knee goes right through the middle of your foot. Let's find our bind. Here we go. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, reverse. Making sure to keep that long, slinky-like spine. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, reverse. One more set. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, reverse. Now, bind or no bind, up to you. Find your warrior two. Look forward, slide forward, find your half moon, pulling through the thumbs down the tailbone, punching through that back heel, really solidifying that left hip underneath you, lengthening through the crown of the head, broadening the chest towards the ceiling. We got one more big breath here. And then slowly release the hands, drop the toes. And again, it's either down dog or I'm going to do that wild thing. I'm going to reach up, slide back into side plank, baby step the left foot behind me, and then keep that left shoulder blade down the back as I reach. Take a big breath. All right. Bring it down. I'll see you in down dog. We're going to take a little rest in pigeon. So bring the right knee in, sweep the shin across the mat, drop the back knee, and wiggle it on back. We want a straight line from sitting bone to big toe. We want to come down and feel out that nice level low back. And then feel free to put a block underneath that right hip if it's feeling a little intense or if you definitely have an asymmetrical low back. Couple big breaths here. Watson has found a different napping spot now. Thanks, bud. Now after this pigeon, we're going to come into a dolphin with bent knees because we're not worried about the hamstrings right now. We're worried about the shoulder blades. I'm going to be asking you to do kind of what we call shoulder blade push-ups. We're going to be taking the shoulder blades into the ears and then down the back. And we want to make sure that as we're pushing the shoulder blades towards the ears and we're engaging all these back muscles that are really going to help us in our peak pose. So I'm going to turn towards the camera so you can make sure and see my shoulders. Okay. All right. So you're going to sweep back or plant the palms, firm up the belly, sweep back into down dog. And then as soon as you're in down dog, go ahead and drop the knees for a second. Okay. I want you to be able to see my shoulders here. So feel free to look before you do. I'm going to come into an interlace. I'm going to have the elbows right underneath my shoulders. Again, I'm going to keep my knees bent because I'm not too worried about the hamstring stretch here. Okay. So right now, if I relax and let gravity do its thing, I feel very heavy in my shoulders. I feel like my joints are compressed. There's no energy here. It feels pinchy. It doesn't feel good at all. It doesn't feel supported. But if I push into my forearms, if my ears and my shoulder blades start to get closer together, hopefully you can see my head getting further up off of the floor. Now my back muscles are involved. I'm pushing up out of my joints. So now I feel supported. I feel strong. I don't feel so smashed up in my joints. So coming down here kind of feels heavy and compressed. I don't feel like I could really hold this for very much longer. But if I push my shoulder blades up into my ears, I'm going to engage all these muscles that are going to make me feel lighter, going to make me feel strong, and going to really engage to help me with this peak pose. Okay, so go ahead, find your dolphin arms, interlace elbows under shoulders. And then curl the toes, lift the hips, keep the knees bent, and see if you can do 5 of these. Shoulder blades to the ears, shoulder blades down the back. And you're going to notice you get way up off the mat, and then you kind of get low enough, you almost feel like you're going to smooch it, okay? Down and up, down and up. One more round, down and up. All right, go ahead and drop the knees, bring it up to the palms. We're going to do dolphin on the second side. Plank, down dog, left knee sweeps in, drop the shin across the mat, drop the back knee and scooch it on back, pull through the big toe, and rest here for a few moments. We want that straight line from sitting bone to big toe so we don't have that weird kink of the ankle, which is really common. And then we want that pretty relatively flattish low back. Okay, couple big breaths here. And then we're coming in for a round of core after this. Check in on your breath. Let's make sure that we're inhaling just like we were at the beginning of class, full capacity. And exhaling. One more nice big cycle of breath here. All right, so a little bit different. We're going to drop that left hip. We're going to bring that right leg around, and I'm going to lay all the way back. Okay? So this core, this is what we're going to practice here. This low core, this hip flexor action is going to be super important for our peak pose as well. I'm going to bring my right knee into the chest. I'm going to hook onto it, and then I'm going to bring the nose to the knee. So I'm not really utilizing anything here. I'm just using the strength of my arms, and I'm going to see what my max range of motion is. Okay, so it's here. Now I want to deeply squeeze all this low core area, this deep hip crease, to see if I can keep the leg right there. So I'll take an inhale. Exhale, squeeze it and see if I can use those muscles so that when I let go, my leg doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't boing back in place. Okay? Be careful that you don't use that leg to push. All right, so here's what it's going to be like. Everybody's going to take an inhale. Exhale, bring the knee to the nose. Firm up the right side of the core. Maybe you release and see if you can hold it in place. Okay, relax it back down, second side. Take an inhale. Exhale, left knee to the nose. Squeeze out all the old air. Continue to squeeze that left side. Maybe you release the leg and put it back down. Okay, if that felt doable, then I'm going to go from straight legs. Take an inhale. Exhale, right knee to the nose. Squeeze, release, and let go. Take an inhale. Exhale, left knee comes in. Keep squeezing out the old air. Release, and let go. Take an inhale. Exhale, right side. See if you can squeeze deep in that hip crease, almost like you're trying to glue the thigh bone to your rib cage, and you're trying to keep it there. Okay, hopefully you're getting some heat in the hip flexor, some heat in this low belly, this lowest of your TVA. Take an inhale. Exhale, keep moving at your own pace. We got one more right, one more left. Last one. All right, full body stretch. Inhale. Exhale, knees into the nose, roll up to a seat. Okay, if you need to grab a drink or anything, go ahead. And if you moved your blocks for pigeon, go ahead and get them towards the top of the mat. And then we want to actually place them about 6 inches to the sides so that we're prepared for our very last big hamstring stretch. Okay? All right, so I'm going to apply those same principles of compressing the thigh bones into the rib cage and really squeezing the core to get myself up to chair. But if you have a different way of getting up into chair, that's totally fine. That's where we're going to meet. I'm going to take an inhale, get a little momentum as I roll back, and then exhale, squeeze, and lift up towards chair. Okay, so everyone's going to meet me there. Take a big inhale, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, your vinyasa could be down dog, could be dropping the knees, could be full chaturanga and up dog. All right, lengthen everything out. Inhale, right toes up in the sky. Exhale, kick it all the way through. Pause. I'm going to grab those blocks, put them right up underneath my shoulders. As I spin my back heel down, I'm going to straighten out my arms and my legs. Inhale, lengthen forward, and exhale, bow over that right shin. Now my left hip is going to want to flare open. Try to pull him down, kind of flattening out the low back, similar to what we did in pigeon. One more inhale to lengthen your spine. One more exhale to fold in pyramid. And then everybody bend into that front knee. Take the blocks to the side. Push into your heels. Rise up. Warrior one. Shoulder blades down the back. Big inhale. Exhale. Seal the palms. Put the thumbs to the back of the neck. Open up the chest. Good. Exhale. As you sweep forward, you're going to take the hands back behind you. Find your bind. Roll the shoulder heads back. Aim the belly button to the thigh bone and the nose to the knee. One more breath. Press into the heels as you come up. Okay, from here, spin that back heel up, warrior three, bend, push, lift, drive the thumbs down the tailbone just like you did in that cobra position when we were on our belly. Broaden the chest, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, hands down to the floor for standing splits. Now, if you want your blocks, they're right there. You can bring them forward. You want to try to keep the right leg as straight as possible. As you look back at your left toes, can you practice that Barbie doll foot, that calf lift with the toes pointed down? One more big breath. And then exhale, drop the toes. Option one, down dog. Option two is our last wild thing. This time the right hand is going to be behind the head so that as I find my wild thing, I can drop the weight of the head into the hand and open up that right pec and armpit a bit more. Okay, take it down. Last side, last set. Big inhale to lengthen. All right, inhale, left toes up. Exhale, kick it on through. Pause to grab the blocks. Spin your back heel down. You're going to push to straighten out the arms and the legs. Inhale, lengthen the crown of the head forward. Exhale, fold. Now pressure to the ball of the front foot, so a little micro bend in the knees just fine. We're drawing that right hip down towards the floor. We're energetically pushing through that back pinky toe. One more inhale to lengthen. One more exhale to fold. Okay, bending into that front knee. Let's get rid of the blocks. Powering through your heels. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. With a firm belly, so that you're protecting the low back, put the thumbs to the back of the neck. Big inhale. Exhale, reach forward. Take the hands back behind you. Interlace. Roll the shoulder heads back. Broaden through the collarbones as you aim the belly button towards the thigh bone, so you keep this left hip hugged up underneath you. Pressing through the heels, rise up, thumbs down the tailbone. Lift your back heel. We got warrior three. Bend, push, lift, reach, broadening across the heart space. Again, similar to that bound cobra that we did. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, hands to the floor, or if you want to grab those blocks, you're welcome to do so. Relax the chin to the chest, so you're staring at your kneecap. And then look at that back foot for a second. See if you can practice that calf lift. So my calf is firm, my quad is firm. I'm energized through the leg as my toes are pointed down. It's going to be important for that peak pose, which is next. Take a breath. And exhale, drop the toes. Option one, down dog. Option two, we're going to find that wild thing with the hand behind the back of the head. So I'm going to take a little baby kickstand, step behind me, roll open and drop the head weight into the hand. Okay, bring it all the way back. Lengthen it out. And then drop the knees to the floor. Okay, so this is where you're going to need your wall. So I'm just going to push myself up against this wall right here so that you still have a really good view of what's going on. And then we'll come back to do the shoulder massage here in just a second. So what I'm going to show you are 3 rounds towards Pincha. At any time, if you want to just take your legs up the wall and enjoy and breathe and relax, please do so. If I show you round 2 and if I show you round 1 and you'd like to stick with round 1, great. 3 rounds of round 1. Okay. You want to find something that's challenging but not overwhelming. So I'm going to give you lots of options. First round, I'm going to take my blocks, and this is really crucial for my setup because I want the 3 points of my foundation to be rock solid. When we get into an inversion, sometimes we're so worried about getting our legs up in the air that we forget that everything is driving down to that foundation. So if that foundation is off by just a little bit, we could be messing with something on top of the foundation, joints, muscles, etc. So I'm going to take my blocks. I'm going to find this number 7 shape, and I'm going to butt this flat end up against the wall. Sorry, I'm going to butt this flat end up against my spine. All right. So the wall is going to be here, which is going to create a gap between my baseboard and my blocks, and that's enough for my hands. So here's the flat side, and here's the gap right here. Okay, so we've already done all of the different component parts to this pose. Now we're just putting them together. Okay, so I'm going to find my dolphin, which we already talked about, elbows under shoulders. I'm going to find that push of my shoulder blades up into my ears, which we already talked about. I'm going to find that lift of the leg with that calf lift kind of here, that calf lift kind of motion through the calf and the quad. And then I'm going to squeeze my thigh bone to my belly and get that core involved. So I'm going to show you everything here. Okay, let me get my hair out of the way. All right. I found my interlace between the baseboard and the blocks. My elbows are underneath my shoulder. I'm going to tuck my chin to my chest, curl my toes, lift my hips, walk up until I feel a really nice solid connection of my spine against the blocks. This is going to keep me from dumping into my low back. Here's our 3 points of foundation. Step 1, push into your base, your forearms, so the shoulder blades lift up into the ears. You get a little taller up off the mat. Your back's engaged. Step 2, lift your foot with that calf lift style foot, or that Barbie doll style foot, toes pointed down. If I allow the toes to point out, you can see my low back skews, and when I jump, I'm going to go over to the side. I don't want that. Okay, so I've got 1 shoulders, 2 leg, 3. I'm going to compress that left thigh bone into the belly. So this guy right here, and he's going to prep my core for this lift. Okay, so again, it's step 1, shoulders, check. Step 2, foot, check. Step 3, core, check. Okay, all right, so you go ahead and do that on each side. Step 1, shoulders, check. Step 2, that calf lift, check. Step 3, compress the thigh bone into the ribs. Okay, that's step 1. So you might want to do that a couple times on each side so that you really know that you have those 3 points of foundation completely under control. All right, so once you know you have those 3 under control, and it might be something where you come back to this video another day, I'm going to work on a hop. Okay, now because our head is not on the floor, we're able to hop while keeping the neck safe. Okay, so we're able to actually hop with quite a bit of energy if necessary. I'm going to find the exact same positioning, elbows under shoulders, spine against the blocks. All right, here's my 3 points of foundation. 1, shoulder blades, check. 2, that nice calf lift foot, check. 3, core engage, check. Okay, now this leg is going to do nothing. This lifted leg, he is just there for direction. He's going to guide me to the wall. This guy right here, he's my powerhouse. He's my engine. He's going to literally kick my butt, okay? I want to kick hard enough, bend, kick, butt, and really tightly. If I just kind of do this half kick, I'm not going to have enough weight to push me to the wall. So it's bend, push, really kick yourself in the butt with the intention of actually making contact butt to heel or heel to butt, okay? So round 2, again, is going to be shoulders, calf lift, core, and then this leg gets to take a break. All he's doing is staying really firm and engaged. This bottom leg is your engine. He's going to hi-ya. He's going to kick. Okay? So I have to say that the biggest thing that I see is as soon as someone kicks up, they lose their shoulders. They drop down and get really compressed and heavy in the shoulders. And when you don't have that activity of pushing and getting all the back, then you just kind of flop back down. So don't forget that push. Okay? So feel free to stick with round 1 to round 2. Round 3 is going to be working towards a float. And again, this might be something that you come back to this video at another time or try something else out. But just so that you have the information, what we want to do is rather than kicking, which can sometimes feel a little bit chaotic, can sometimes feel like we're not totally in control, we want to eventually work towards using the core so much that we don't need the momentum of the kick. We can just simply float up. So it's everything you've already done. It's the same setup. It's all the same steps. It's still your shoulder blades 1. It's still your foot 2. It's still your core 3. But now, rather than using this bottom leg to kick and push as hard as I can, I'm just going to keep squeezing the thigh bone into the ribs. So the more that I squeeze, the more that I squeeze, the more that I squeeze, the more he wants to come up off the floor. So we're squeezing this deep, deep muscle to our hips, which if we contract it enough, it actually pulls our hips into place. Once your hips are into place, then you can pull to the balls of your feet and find your full stack in Pincha. Okay? So the idea is to slowly, eventually, one day, squeeze hard enough and have enough of that core awareness to use a float rather than a jump. Okay? It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes tons and tons and tons of practice. So please don't be frustrated if it's not there immediately. All right, so make sure you do both sides. I only did the one side, but go ahead and even yourself out, and then when you're ready, we're going to find our Shavasana, which I think Watson has already found. Let me show you here. He's been ready for Shavasana for the last like 20 minutes. Okay, so get your blocks out of the way. Grab your 2 tennis balls, and then I'm going to have a seat kind of towards the front of my mat because I'm going to be scooting back eventually. I'm going to take the 2 tennis balls, make this kind of shape, looks like a little peanut, and then I'm going to trap it on either side of my spine against the mat. And then make sure that you don't have hair or hoodies or anything like that in the way. What I want to do is push into my feet and roll just enough to make sure that those tennis balls are right between my shoulder blades and my head is relaxed against the floor. Okay. All right. So once I'm here, I can already start to feel some sensation. I can already start to feel my body kind of tense up. So I need to make sure and just take a breath, relax, and actively feel how the tissues melt into that pressure and the tennis balls kind of get accepted into the tissues. Now I can keep my hands down by my sides, or I really like to take my arms over my chest because I'm going to show you a couple different movements here. And these movements are a little more accessible with the arms in a cross position. So option 1 You're going to stay here, you're going to melt, and you're going to pause and breathe and relax. Option 2, you're going to take that same mummy roll that we did at the beginning of class when we were on our blocks. And this just gives you a little bit of feedback from the right side to the left side. And if maybe one side needs more attention, then I'm going to hang out there and pause and wait until that sensation fades. If the right and the left feel pretty equal, they're good to go, then I might try a really lazy crunch, chin to chest, and just lifting up enough to kind of curl the spine and then put my head back down. Okay? Once I've thoroughly investigated that set of vertebrae, I'm going to press into my feet, roll back, and then pause, breathe, relax. Here, I'm going to take my legs down so you can see what I'm doing. Option 1, stay here. Option 2 is to rock and to roll. Option 3 is to take the chin to the chest and make a little lazy crunch. Okay? So I'm not going to tell you when it's time to move down. I just want you to take the time that you need to move down vertebrae by vertebrae. And there might be one set that you really want to stay there for a few moments and investigate because it's really grumpy. And there might be a set that's, not a big deal. I'm good to go. So there's not necessarily a set time on each vertebrae. We do want a total time of just a few minutes, though, which I'm keeping track of for you. So find what's appropriate for you. Find what is productive and not painful. This area here between the shoulder blades just tends to get so grumpy because, again, that rounded posture that we have through most of our day. But this is going to bring a lot of blood flow to this area. It's going to help iron out the wrinkles. It's going to help push hydration through these muscles. It's really going to get a nice reset. And a lot of times it takes away any of the negative sensations that we had, any of the tightness or pain. Okay, we've just got about 30 more seconds, so I want you to keep going where you're going. I'm going to take a second to situate my mat back to the correct setting. So keep sticking with that last spot for 2 more cycles of breath. All right, then go ahead and release the tennis balls. And as soon as you have them out from underneath you, take a moment to lay down and just take in the information, how different that blueprint feels between the shoulder blades. Hi, buddy. All right, then when you have it, go ahead and lengthen out the legs, lengthen out the arms, take a big old full body stretch. And then arms down by the sides, ready for Shavasana. Closing down the eyes. First and foremost, we always want to come into our breath because we know our breath dictates how our body responds. Make sure that your inhales are long, smooth, and controlled, filling up to your max capacity. Your exhales are long, smooth, and controlled, squeezing out all the old air. Nothing forced, nothing stressful, just this gentle flow of breath in and out the nose. And this kind of breath is going to tell your nervous system that you're safe and that you're ready to relax. And then begin to use this breath up and down the body to make the brain feel a little more comfortable with this stillness. It needs to know that you're okay, every square inch of you accounted for. So take a few cycles of breath down the body, just checking in, maybe noticing a few things like wrinkles in the clothes, weight of jewelry on the wrist, maybe the temperature difference between the floor and your mat, maybe the temperature difference in your toes or your fingers versus your body. Any other sensations, take them in. Maybe right versus left or upper body versus lower body. And then finally, for our single point of focus, I want you to tap into that resource of your breath and see if you can linger in your exhale just a little longer than your inhale. So whatever your inhale naturally is, whatever count that is for you, see if you can make your exhale just a beat longer, knowing that this is going to help you relax more, get you into that mindset of relaxation, let the body rest more. Take each inhale, filling up with what you need, and linger in the exhale, giving it the rest that it deserves. See if you can keep yourself anchored here against distractions by simply focusing on the length of the inhale and by lengthening more through the exhale. Keeping your eyes closed, go ahead and release the breath to its normal inhales and exhales, but recognizing that that's a technique that you can use off the mat if you ever need to take a step back or if you ever need to relax and reset. As you begin to wiggle fingers and toes, take a little movement into the body, get that spark of energy so that you can translate that into a full body stretch. Reach the hands and the feet, lengthen out the spine, maybe noticing any differences from the beginning of class. And then exhale, gently draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Creating any movement necessary will eventually roll onto the right side. Use your right arm as a pillow here as you take a moment to reset. To recognize that whatever happened before your time on the mat does not need to affect or follow you to the time after the mat. One more big breath. And then slowly rise up to a seated position. Sitting up tall in the spine, practicing that good posture of ears, over shoulders, over hips. Take the hands together at heart center. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to work on the very best version of you inside and out, through movement, through stillness, through breath work, through mindfulness. It was my honor to lead you through class. Namaste.